What's up YouTube? Thanks for tuning in this video. In this video, we're talking about how long it takes to start up an RV park. But first, make sure to like this video and subscribe so we get off to a good start. All right guys, so this question is something you're gonna get a varying answer for every different person because there's a lot to it. So if you're starting a RV park with 150 lots, that's a lot different than somebody that just wants maybe 10 or 15. So that is all gonna be varying depending on the person, but I'm gonna speak a little bit about my experience and just kind of what I've seen starting an RV park from scratch. So when I started, I had a property that had nothing on it. It had no roads, had no electric, had no septic, no water, nothing. It just had trees and that was it. So if you're starting from that point, maybe this will give you a little bit of value and you can kind of see how long it takes for everything. But first of all, you have to buy the property itself, which could take, a couple months, I think. If you're really searching, anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months. So add that into your timeline, but you got to find the right property. And I think the right property is pretty important. So you do need to take some time to sift through different pieces of land before you find the right one. If you're looking for an already existing RV park, I made a video about that, which you can watch above here, but that'll be a completely different type of route. But we're talking just starting an RV park from scratch. So first, it's going to take a couple months to find the piece of land. Once you find the piece of land, then you need to come up, and you should be doing this simultaneously, but you need to come up with a plan for that specific piece of land. And that plan could be, I would say, really to hone in on that plan and get it all done would take about maybe 2-3 weeks, a month at most. Really, I'm talking like a deep plan as to what you need to do. And once you have the plan, I think with the plan comes the money situation. So what's going to happen with the money? Do you already have money? If you already have money, that's going to save you some time. If you need to find money, you need to go find investors and stuff like that. Once again, that could take a couple weeks, a month, 2 months. When I was raising funds for my property, it took me about a month and a half, 2 months to find somebody. Maybe even 2.5 months. I can't, it's hard for me to remember, but roughly 2 months. So add a couple months to that repertoire if you are looking for money. So that could be something to consider, but if you already have money, boom, you're ready to go. So after you have the land, the plan, and the money, you're gonna now start your park. And when you start your park, probably the first thing you would do would be you should have already been going back and forth with the county, which a lot of this in this video I've already spoke about. You can watch above here about how to start an RV park. This video isn't about how to start an RV park, but just kind of how long the process takes. But essentially, you should have already been talking with the county for your property and to make sure it's gonna be able to perform what you want it to do. And once you've spoken with the county, which that shouldn't take long, I mean a couple of days, maybe a week at most, week and a half, 2 weeks, you're gonna start talking with your engineer. Your engineer is gonna write you up a plan, and that varies hugely. So like for instance with us, and you're gonna run into this a lot when you're starting your RV park, like a ton, is do you wanna go for time or do you wanna go for money? Like, do you wanna save money but lose out on time, or do you wanna get it done quickly but spend for that? That's the main variable you're gonna deal with when you're starting an RV park. Time versus money. And for us, really, we had to decide on saving money, which means it takes longer. We were working with a very limited budget, very limited. And so for that reason, we had to spend a lot of time. So a lot of these things are gonna take longer than most people probably. But I don't know, if you're watching this, you're probably trying to save money like me, I mean, it's hard out here. So we're just trying to get it done as efficiently as possible. But first thing, you got to find an engineer. That engineer is going to write you up a plan. That plan should only take about, I would say like a month, maybe even a couple weeks, but our engineer took about 3-4 months, 4.5 maybe, just to write the plan. Just to write the plan took him 4 months. And what you'll realize when you deal with engineers, they take a long time. They take a really long time, and they're just like always busy. A lot of them don't have the best customer service, so if you have the funds, I would definitely say pay for a good engineer. Pay for an engineer that is responsive, that is going to get things done quickly. Otherwise, you'll be sitting on your hands waiting for him. Because we can't do anything, we can't dig anything, we can't do anything until this guy writes up the plan for us. So it took him about 4 months. He wrote up the plan. And then once we had the plan, we then, obviously sent it to the county. That took probably like a couple weeks, probably like 2 weeks, I think. And then once we got back, the okay from the county, then we started to get bids. So bidding can take a little bit of time. So bidding with the septic installer is going to be the next thing you'd probably do. And you would just go in your local area to different installers and submit your plans to them, show them your plans, what you have, in store, and get different bids from each septic installer. And I think we probably got like 6 or 7 bids. And this is pretty important, especially if you're dealing with a very limited budget, is you got to really find the right price and the right person to do it. And so we went through probably like 6 or 7 of them. And the thing is you have to submit the plans, you got to talk on the phone with them, and then they send you back what they would projected cost and everything. So I would say for bidding, probably like a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month if you're really, sifting through. At least, I'd say at least a month. If you're quick to it and the funds are not that important, you can probably get it done within a couple weeks. But I think if you're crunching pennies, probably gonna take you at least a month or 2. Once we got our septic installer, he began the process, and this was probably the longest process. So the septic installer, I don't know if you guys remember, it was during the freezes in Texas. So that's kind of like right when he started or right before that. And so that whole month, really, it was like nothing really got done. And he really took a while. And I think in total for the whole septic install, I think it took about like 8 months, like 7, 8 months. It took a long time. Actually, let me think. Yeah, it took about 7 to 8 months. 7 to 8 months to do it all. And the reason why was this was a older gentleman that just had his nephew working for him. So it was just like 2 people. And it was definitely the cheapest option we could find. Like I said, once again, you fall into the line of, is it time or money? Time or money? And for us, it was like, hey, we need to save money, so we're going to spend more time. And that was okay. So 7, 8 months is how long it took to put the septic in. And then the electric, we were working on simultaneously while we were having the septic installed. I would say for the electric, that took, to get the electric poles put in and contact the electric co-op and all of that, that probably took about, I'd say like a month, maybe a month. We did have to get, an electrician to write up a plan for us as well, which took a couple weeks to find somebody to do that. And then they came out, put the electric in. I'd say that whole process took about a week and a half. And then once that was done, we had to do the whole private side. That took a little bit of time. That took a little bit of time to get all the private side done, to go and get all the material. And we had to, hire an electrician to help us out with all this stuff. I would say all in all, it took about roughly like 3 months, like 2-3 months to get all that done. And obviously we were doing other stuff on the property, and we were, kind of dealing with other things. But I'd say 2-3 months for the electric. But you can do that while the septic's putting it, getting put in. That way you're not wasting time. So 2-3 months for the electricity, and then the water, we trenched the lines ourselves. We got a water tank. We put down the piping, laid it down to every single spot. That didn't take very long. That took like, 2 weeks, month, probably at most. So I'd say for the total for the electric was like 2-3 months. Total for the water was like about 2 months, 2.5. The septic really was the longest part, which really wasn't us. That took about 8 months. And then once the septic was done, we had to cover up the road, and we just laid down some crushed granite, a couple other things that we had to do, especially for the entrances. That probably took maybe, to get everything done, it took about like 2 weeks. Just kind of moving, at a solid pace, but not crazy fast. I think we were just kind of getting everything cleaned up. And all in all, for this whole process, I'd say like from ground zero from ground zero, like absolutely nothing, until we are ready to start, was probably about a year and 2 months, year and 3 months. And there were some things that obviously took a little bit longer than expected. 100%. There were some things that took a little bit longer, like the septic took a long time. But overall, yeah, it took about a year and 3 months to get everything done in terms of the big infrastructure. Like I said before, if you have the funds, easy. You can get this stuff done quickly. I would say under a year for sure, maybe even like 8 months, you could get this, up and going. That's kind of my little video on how long it takes to start an RV park. If you have a bigger property, it might take you a little bit longer. It all depends on your funding, but that kind of was a general overview of how long everything takes. Hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see how I started my RV park, watch this video to the side here. If you want to see the pros and cons of starting an RV park, watch this video to the side here as well. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.